Welcome in to episode 9 of the Bleav in Twins podcast on the Bleav Network. I'm your host, Anders Pryor. Little underprepared today. No microphone and no beverage of choice. So I'm just going fully. I'm
Man.
just very. Maybe not underprepared, maybe a little underprepared, but just very blank today. Joined by my wonderful co-hosts and analysts, the emotionally distressed Zac Tipton, who was very adamant, capping off the bad week of baseball with some headphone hair, which I think it looks fine. But you seemed you were almost at a point of getting a hat on, which I know you gotta go pretty far to reach that point.
Yeah, no. Just the front of the hair is not looking how I want it to look right now.
Yeah.
It's a complete mess in the front. But yeah, no, it's fine. We'll make it work. We're just happy to be here. Happy to
We are happy to
be
be
enjoying it. Sorry for being a day late. We were both kind of busy yesterday, and
here.
unfortunately just could not get on to do a podcast yesterday. And honestly, I think it's okay. I think we got to give. I think when the Twins have a day off, we should have a day off. You know what? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Don't
we
you?
always try to do Mondays and Thursdays, but sometimes if it's a Monday or a Thursday and the Twins are off, then I think it's fine to move it a day back. But we always try to target Mondays and Thursdays for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We do. But yeah, today we had to move about a day back. We're on Friday, which means we are just about to start a 3-game series versus the Blue Jays,
Yeah.
which you'll get into that later. But big news in the NFL, Anders.
Yes.
The wide receiver controversy of the century.
Yeah.
Something that really didn't feel like it was ever going to be fixed. To be honest, it just felt like you were going to talk about this in week 6 of this year.
The wide receiver controversy of the century, number 6 of this offseason.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Brandon Aiyuk staying with the 49ers in a 4-year, $120 million extension after reports a couple weeks ago making it pretty clear, reports that I fell for, making it essentially at 95% that he was going to the Steelers with a lot of the exchanges in place, just the extension not being worked out. But the big note here, I think it's a very appropriate price for him. And what I said to you, Zach, and you reminded me of this before we began the show, is that to me, Aiyuk getting anything less than 31 or 31.5 million, to me, I think is probably step one of the wide receiver market starting to begin to correct itself. Now, obviously, Chase might just brute force his way beyond that. But in terms of a natural progression, I think this is a little bit of a stabilizing event in comparison to a lot of the money we've seen earlier in the offseason.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not surprised by this amount of money. This is kind of where I was expecting it to be. I don't know if you were expecting the same thing. You said 30 to 32 last week on the show.
Yeah, I thought his ceiling was the AJ Brown contract. But to me, this was the low point because I would have been blown away if he made less than 30 a year. That would have been pretty shocking.
Absolutely no, and I agree. I would have also been shocked, but I'm happy for Aiyuk. He had a great year. Especially after 3 really bad years to start his career, a lot of people were calling him kind of a bust. A lot of people weren't really expecting him to really be much. And then he really goes off this year and has that year that we were kind of expecting him to have 4 years ago.
Right.
3 years ago, and he finally has that. Shout out to him. Anders, I didn't talk to you about this before the show. I do want to bring it up.
Yeah.
College football season has officially started.
Yeah.
And there was a big game last night
Mm-hmm.
that I was able to watch the entirety of. And that, of course, was Colorado North Dakota State.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were able to see any of
I
that,
was
and
I did. I flipped back and forth between that and Minnesota UNC because I wanted to.
I did not watch Minnesota UNC. I'm sorry to all Twins fans here. I did not watch Minnesota UNC. I could
I
not
I
watch
mostly
that terrible
I
football.
mostly tuned in because like Omari and Hampton, the running back for UNC, is like one of the best players in the ACC, and he's just really fun to watch.
Yeah,
This is, I think, this is as we and Zach and I are very big like NFL draft guys. This is probably in the time that I've been following football in terms of pre-draft projections, the strongest running back class that I can
100%.
call with
Because what you have
three,
him,
three you have, well, I think Omari and Hampton will be one of the first 10 picks of the second round, but then you have three running backs who I think could all potentially go in the first
I
round.
mean, obviously you have the guy from is it Auburn now? Is he where he's at or
No, so Ollie Gordon
Ollie
from
Gordon's the main one? Yeah,
Ashton Gianti from Boise State, and then Quinshon Judkins.
Christian. That's what I was thinking of. Who I was thinking Quinshon Judkins. Where's he at now? Is he at Ohio State?
He's Ohio State.
Okay,
All
yeah.
three of those guys could be first round picks.
Will Travion Henderson go in this draft, or is he going to stay and try
No,
to keep?
he'll kind of be in that like third round level. Omari and Hampton will be, I think, the fourth RB taken off the board.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and honestly, it's kind of annoying for Travion Henderson because he's been the second best running back on his team for his entire career, and he's a great running back.
Yeah.
And now they're bringing Quinshon Judkins, and Quinshon Judkins is an absolute star.
But you wanted to talk about Colorado and North Dakota.
Yeah, I do. Travis Hunter is maybe one of the best wide receivers. Like, he gives me such strong Marvin Harrison Jr. vibes with just how he can come down with every single ball thrown his way.
Sure.
And I was so blown away by his performance yesterday. And obviously I was rooting for North Dakota State because
Right.
I was rooting for the Bison, but that was just a great game. But it's got to be a little scary for the Colorado to not play that well.
You're right.
Against an FCS opponent. Like I get North Dakota State really. It's hard to consider them an FCS opponent because they really do play at
Right.
the level of
No,
FBS
that's a
schools,
fair
but
point. That's a fair point. I mean, like, so a couple notes. Number one, I think that Marvin Harrison Jr., it's an interesting comp. I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is a more kind of complete physical specimen, but I think the handwork and the footwork are there's a lot of similarities there. I agree there.
I don't know if you saw his third touchdown catch.
That was one of the
coolest
things I've ever seen.
That was ridiculous. That was out of this world. Like I was like, I just gave a clap. I was just like,
I know. Yeah, I'll clap to that too. I know that a lot of people, it's like what you said, like they're a fringe FCS because they're basically FBS. Like they've beaten, I think that they were saying now they're 9-5 against FBS opponents. But so a couple of things. So number one, it's like I had them winning 5 games this year. I think they won 4 last year. I think the improvements that they made on the offensive and defensive line are probably worth 1 extra win, but they have to rank, at least by week 1 rankings, all 5 ranked Big 12 opponents in Arizona, Utah, Oklahoma State, Kansas, and Kansas State. So that I think they'll lose all those games. And even with all those improvements, they are ultimately they are an FCS program. So like the trench battle stuff was clearly still a very big weak point there. So
I thought North Dakota State looked really like
they were going to look like Nebraska, right?
They were able to control like Colorado's run game like incredibly well. Like 2.5 yards per carry, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And for a team that's as dynamic as like Shedeur Sanders and like the running backs that they have, to go 2.5 yards per carry is extremely insane against a North Dakota State team that they're an FCS school. Like, you're supposed to completely destroy them, and you have 5 stars on the
I
offense.
want, I want your note on this. This is the big thing I'm going to be looking for because I think that Colorado will lose to Nebraska. But I will say here, I am very curious tomorrow to watch South Dakota State versus Oklahoma State and to see
I'm
to
so
just,
excited for it.
just to get a contrast, right? Because South Dakota State is in that same kind of upper echelon tier of FCS.
Yeah, no, there's to me, and I'll say this, and you guys, this is FCS a little bit, so you guys don't know. There's
I
3
think four,
teams. I think there's 3 or 4 teams I consider like FCS programs that should be in the FBS and
right?
are good enough to be in the FBS but are in FCS. And it's the 2 schools we just mentioned, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and then Montana and Montana State.
Yep.
Those are the 4 that I'm like, those are the 4 teams that consistently every year are a top 5 FCS program and are probably good enough to beat that. So I would say those are my 4 teams.
So like no, those
And obviously Montana State just beat their FBS opponent in New Mexico.
they took care of New Mexico. It was a
So,
really cool comeback victory, but I think it's like so like again like there's a contrast, right? So like North Dakota State and South Dakota State, they're in that same tier, and
they're
so
the 2 best teams in college football. They're the 2
if
best teams in FCS football. It's not even
if
close.
Oklahoma State beats South Dakota State by like 30 plus, that's a bad look for Colorado because like that because beating them by 5, I mean, and you have the I have my own like personal opinions on like Colorado. I think a lot, I'm not a very I'm against the whole I think there's a faction of college football that's very insular and is too tied to tradition and is too kind of afraid to embrace kind of new kind of unique stuff. That being said, I do think a lot of what Colorado does is very corny and gimmicky and like the whole like perfect timing song and like having like a raised platform concert like after beating North Dakota State and all that kind of it's just really tacky and just like very like generate-y and it's not it just feels kind of very like manufactured and not real and so I'm not exactly like rooting very hard for them but Oklahoma State, South Dakota State will be a very interesting kind of indicator of where they lie. And then I just think they're going to be beat by Nebraska flat. Like we have multiple instances of proof where like year 2 Matt Rule, like at the college level, he just gets it done. We saw it at Temple. We saw it at Baylor. I think Nebraska, I would not be surprised if that's a multiple touchdown victory.
Yeah, no, I'm curious to see that as well. But I will say this, I was very impressed with North Dakota State's offense yesterday, and it scares me now looking at the secondary of Colorado and being like that secondary is good enough to compete against just other teams in the FBS. They're not good. It's not good. Like if it wasn't for Travis Hunter, Colorado would have lost that game. Like that's physically what it was. If it wasn't for Travis Hunter, Colorado would have got blown out of that game. Travis Hunter is a beast. The question really is he going to stick at wide receiver? And when he gets to the NFL, it's hard for me to believe they're going to have him playing both wide receiver.
Yeah, I think if you look at most mocks right now, he's being drafted as a defensive back, which is I don't know exactly. Like I think he needs. It's weird because the eye test tells you, even last year, I think the eye test kind of tells you that he's a better receiver just because he doesn't really ball hawk as much. I mean, he does, but not as, kind of openly. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that kind of unfolds. But no, you're right about North Dakota State's run game. I mean, some of the outside zone like fullback stuff that they were doing, it looks like they were doing things in that game on the ground that it looked like the Miami Dolphins would do.
Yeah.
Like in terms
I was really happy. I was really happy in the North Dakota State performance and stuff, and that was just fun. And I'm glad college football season is back. Obviously, this is a Minnesota podcast, so obviously, you're expecting Golden Gopher talk here. That's not going to be the case. I'm telling you right now, I am not a Golden Gopher fan. I'm a Twins fan, I'm a Vikings fan, I'm a Timberwolves fan. I am not a Golden Gopher fan. I'm actually a Nebraska Cornhusker fan. So when Dylan Raiola makes his debut tomorrow, we will be talking about that on Monday. But that's really that. But yes, that is college football. We're really happy it's back. The Gophers are one of the worst teams in college football. And yeah, that's where it's at. So
I still don't understand. I mean, I kind of get it because like he is a great motivator, but all of like the PJ Fleck, I know like a couple years ago,
dude, PJ Fleck should be fired. I don't know how he still has a job.
He was being
it's hard
connected
for me
to
to
the
it's
NFL
hard
point.
it's hard for me to believe that PJ Fleck still has a job right now, and I don't understand how that's possible.
I think the athletic Nike branded quarter zip with the tie and like the shooting range sunglasses is the most confusing sideline look in college football for a coach. I think it kind of looks a little bit ridiculous, frankly. But that is that. We are very excited.
Wait, actually, it's pretty easy. You know why PJ Fleck still has a job?
What?
Because he beat Penn State one time.
Yeah,
that is why he still has a job. He beat Penn State one time.
He's very, yeah. I mean, if he were fired, he would get a job somewhere else for sure.
No,
what do you say?
No, he would. He would.
Yeah, there would definitely be a power, like a group of 5 school that would pay him a lot of money, for sure.
But that's eligible. I would probably should move on to the topic of the hour. The reason we are on this, the reason we have a podcast in the first place, and that is MLB baseball. So, Anders, what is our first topic conversation in MLB baseball?
Our first, I think we always like to, before we get into the Twins specifically, kind of give a Twins inclusive broad recap of the AL Central as a whole. I think that's kind of how we've sort of naturally fallen into things. And, since our last episode, the Guardians have now at least, like, I don't, without having this answer, officially blown the 9-game division lead that they had, with probably outside of the Seattle Mariners, they have had the worst post All-Star break stretch in the American League, if not baseball, outside of the Mariners.
And it's surprising to me also that despite the Guardians being so bad, or with the Twins having their terrible stretch they're on. I mean, sorry, let me rephrase that. With the Twins having the terrible stretch that they are on right now, where we've lost, I think it's not eight of our last 10, I think, something like that. We are only 3.5 games back of the division lead.
Yeah.
Which I think shows just how bad the Guardians have been. To where we have lost 8 of our last 10 and have not lost any ground on the division.
Yeah.
Besides that, we are now in third because the Royals have come out of nowhere. Oh, right. Not out of nowhere. They were there.
Not nowhere, but they've been hot since
they've been hot. But yeah, so that's that to me. And obviously, we're actually in an okay situation. We are still 3 games up on the Red Sox as well. For that, for the wild cards. So, but we got to be careful. The Twins have to be careful now. But no, I'm really hyped with how the I was cheering for the Royals because I wanted the Guardians to keep falling, and I'm happy about that. They obviously, I think they have another series coming up. They have another series right now, right away.
The Steven Vogt manager of the year. I haven't looked at the odds. I haven't looked at the odds in a while, but my guess is that it's dropped significantly. And starting pitching, whether that's because it's been a mixture of injury and also guys that they've needed to take steps forward have not taken steps forward, whether that's Bleav.
Now it says here, it looks like it says right now the Mac Quattaro is the favorite manager of the year now. Continue. Sorry, continue.
No, it's fine. I'm trying to remember in my head. My preseason prediction. We're talking about the AL Central. My preseason prediction for AL Manager of the Year was actually AJ Hinch, which has not worked out well, because they ended up selling basically all their good bullpen assets. But no, the starting pitching for the Guardians, whether through a mixture of injury or again, like guys like Bybee and Gavin Williams not taking the steps that we thought they would, has now, you can only kind of dance behind that and hide behind that for so long. You can only power through for so long. And now I think it's a kind of officially it's caught up to them. And I think, it gets to a point where you can't stretch yourself that. Like you gotta eventually, it'll show eventually. And, maybe it took a little longer and they were able to hide behind it for a while, just with, getting some really, good, like actual slugging numbers and not just like expected stuff, but like, um, playing a style despite their ballpark and all that. So, but now a lot of the weaknesses in the starting is kind of, has been, like it's starting to kind of unfold a little bit now. And so now that it's kind of unveiling itself all at once, it wasn't very slow. It's like it was fine. And then we got to the All-Star break, and then it was like a kind of maybe collapse is a little harsh, but it kind of was a little bit.
Yeah. Also, I just want to bring this up now because I feel like we should have brought it up earlier. Listen, I know nothing about hockey. I know nothing about hockey at all. At all.
Yes, this is, yeah.
But I feel like we should bring it up because this is a sports podcast still, and we probably should bring it up. And I know you know a little bit more about hockey than I do. Maybe not much more, but you know a little bit more about hockey than I do.
Say, don't hold me to the me knowing more about hockey than someone else. That's a bold claim.
But you do know more than me. But obviously, there was a big loss in the hockey world today. I really wish I knew who it was, but Johnny Gaudreau, who I've heard he's a pretty good. I heard he's a good player. I don't know anything about him, and this is gonna sound really bad, but I just want to say, he passed away. He and his brother passed away in a car crash, and he passed away, and I don't know anything about him. Like I really wish I could say more about the guy and say how more big of a loss it is, but it is still really hard to lose somebody like that when you lose. Obviously, as a Vikings fan, I just went through this with Kyrie Jackson. And so to lose some guy to a possible drunk driver, it is a really hard situation. And again, I don't know who this guy is. I really do wish I knew who he was. And I've heard he's a good player. I can't confirm that. I don't know anything about him, but I do want to just say, he signed a 7-year, $68.25 million contract, so he must be good if he's getting that type of money in the NHL. But
by NHL standard, that's a lot. I did see, and I'm gonna transition to my headphones here just to have a little bit more audio clarity. So I'm glad that you guys are kind of helping me out a little bit here with my stuff. Zach, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Okay, so I was going to say, I saw on Instagram today, fans outside of the Blue Jackets, stadium created a memorial, and they were bringing, had a picture of him, and they were bringing jerseys, and they had bouquets of flowers. It was really well done, and it was clearly very important. And again, every time something like this happens, it's really unfortunate. And I'm with Zach. I do kind of feel bad. I wish I knew more about him.
I can say he was a 7-time All-Star, so he must be a pretty good. He must be a really good player if he was a 7-time All-Star. So
it was a name that I have heard, but in terms of unique impact, not really knowing that much. But no, obviously this is, any time something with in non-sober driving happens, it's really unfortunate, especially I think it was 29 if I'm not from what I read. But no, very, very sad, and I'm glad you brought that up. Actually,
Yeah. No,
I'm
and
glad you. I'm glad
obviously
you.
shout and obviously, we're sad for the loss of his brother as well, who was also in the
Yep.
car with him, and he was a minor league hockey player, kind of a fringe bubble guy as well.
Mm.
And from what I've heard, I think it was also their sister's wedding weekend. So
Yes. Yes.
that is absolutely devastating.
That's really gut wrenching.
That is, yeah, it's absolutely gut wrenching, and I think it's very hard for we pray for the family, we pray for
Yep.
everyone in the Gaudreau family, for the everyone in the Columbia Blue Jackets
No.
organization, and also the Calgary Flames organization, because I know he was
Yep.
with Calgary for a very long time as well. So just
Yep.
prayers for everyone there. But
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
that. We really, if I could say more, if I knew more of the guy, I would. But unfortunately,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not a hockey fan. I've never watched a
No.
hockey game in my life, so I'm just. So that's really all I can say. But we do always hate to. You really
Yeah.
do. It's the worst thing that you can see, and that's that. And
Yeah.
like I said, as a Vikings fan, we obviously lost Kyrie Jackson in that car crash earlier this summer. So we've been there. I understand, what that feels like as a fan of a team that lost somebody like that.
Right.
So that's that.
Yeah.
Move on from that. But I just wanted to bring it up because I thought
Yeah.
about that. I'm
No.
like,
That
we probably
was
should
that
bring it
was
up.
that was that was a good. Yeah, guys, please drive safe. I know sometimes it can be kind of a little bit annoying to drop $20 on an Uber. I promise you, it's worth it.
Yeah, it's
I
worth
can
it
I can definitely say that.
for sure.
But
moving back to the Twins now, I think we've done our
yeah.
Guardians session, we've done our Royals. They're there.
Going to the
Let's go into the
Twins.
Twins talk because there are some
I
things we need to talk about right now.
Yeah, the game that I want to kind of mention first, I think both you and I kind of wanted. There were moments from this series. I think both of you and I that were different, but we each wanted to focus on. So the thing that I wanted to start, just to go with chronological order, is Bailey Ober. His quality start streak of 11 games was blown up literally in dramatic fashion.
Like it was gone by the first inning. It was gone by the first inning of that
I
game.
think I want to say 2 innings, allowing 7 runs. I think he had. I want to say it was like a 38 pitch first inning. It was not good. You could tell that it was 4-4. Yeah, I think it was 4.
And I really want to blame the weather because the weather was absolutely horrendous. And I don't know if you saw the picture of the sky. That picture, did you see the picture of the sky in Minnesota that night?
No.
You didn't? Oh
the
my God.
sky in Minnesota. I know that I saw Bailey's face. He just looked totally like he was shocked. But I mean,
hold up. Okay, now I don't know if this is possible. I'm gonna try to show it. 1 second.
Yeah, I had cogent analysis, but I need to. Oh wow.
Can you see it?
I can see it. I was gonna say
that was the sky above Target Field. That night.
Looks like a movie.
And it is not filtered. I will 100% say right now, it's not a filtered picture. That is the real photo. Yes.
It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, no, that was that. I just want to show it because that is absolutely. It looks gorgeous, but that was the weather. That was what they were doing.
It is gorgeous. That note, but that's a neat photo.
I want to blame weather, but on the other hand, I also look at it listen, Bailey just had a really bad night.
Yeah,
it happens.
I think the a couple kind of big main sort of takeaways. I think the lack of velocity on the cutter, I think really showed. It wasn't sharp enough, and a lot of the early kind of big hits that he had. I think I want to say both Olsen and Darno. I'm pretty sure. I think both of their homers were on the cutter. I'm pretty sure. I know for a fact Olsen's was, but the lack of velocity on it definitely was, very apparent. Only going to 86, and I forget what the league average is, but noticeably slow given the type of movement that it had. It not breaking enough for a velocity dependent pitch, and I think that was kind of the big thing there. and it kind of sucks because he was demonstrably bad. The offense I thought was fine. I thought that because some bad
Well,
defensive play on
we
the
had a
infield
we had a
by
chance to tie
the
the game up. We had a chance to tie the game up really late. Royce Lewis came up with the bases loaded, which is like Royce Lewis
guaranteed.
territory, and
Yeah,
like, and he unfortunately going to do it. He's been in a slump recently. I'll talk about that later.
yeah,
But
yeah. Um,
but
but no, I
that
thought that
the offense played well.
there was some pure small ball stuff in there that I thought was cool. I thought stuff that you don't really see, not as much medium ball stuff. I did think that there were some really good openings that were taken advantage of, given there were some multiple instances of poor defensive infield play on part of Atlanta. But I mean, but it kind of sucks because offensively it was not a bad night, right? Like 6 runs is nothing to be ashamed of, but no, it was Ober's worst start of the year. The cutter was terrible, and it was just kind of really unfortunate to see a quality start go up. His quality start was his streak for the quality start was ended before he could even record an out. I'm pretty sure. So
I think he gave up 3 runs in the first inning, so I don't think so. I think he only gave 3 runs in the first inning. So technically, I think he had a chance to save it, but he gave up. I think he gave up a 2-run homer and a single, like a 1-run.
It was 4 runs in the first. It was
okay. So never mind. Yeah, it was like the first 4 batters all scored. The first 4 batters all scored.
The Olsen
before they out.
Olsen, the first game Olsen, this was one of Olsen's best stretches, like of the season, like one of his best series of the season. But in that first game, particularly with I think he had three extra base hits. He was
Matt Olsen, he had 4 runs before he got out. Like it was just really bad, unfortunately for Ober. I will say, shout out the bullpen though, kind of coming in and limiting it. With Trevor Richards, the only one giving up runs, but Scott Bleav did not blow it. Scott, I've been waiting to say that this entire season, so thank God I had to say it there. Scott Bleav did not blow it.
I was writing down notes and I was like, oh man, Zach's gonna say this. I can guarantee it.
Scott Bleav did not blow it, and he got 3 innings of 2 hit ball. Like that is a great outing for him there. And then obviously,
and you even said Trevor Richards allowed the only other run. Guess how? Like in the bullpen, and it came exactly as you'd expect. It came on a wild pitch in the dirt because, of course, it did.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only way it would happen.
And the best part is that this is going to get talked about later too. He got DFA'd. Like he got DFA'd yesterday, like 2 days ago. So he got DFA'd. And so now it's like, oh, great. So glad he made moves at the deadline.
Nice one. Unbelievable.
Ronnie Enriquez came in, had two innings of 2 hit ball, 3 strikeouts. Great for Ronnie. Glad to see him still in the majors and making an impact. I thought our bullpen pitched really well. They kept us in the game. They gave us that chance, despite Bailey Ober having his worst start of the year. I think this is worse. This might be worse. That might have been worse than the Royals game, like first game of the season, like first outing of the season.
No, I think this is worse. I think breaking a quality start or making yourself quality start ineligible before you can even record a single out in the game. I think that's pretty brutal. But so that was kind of the main point.
That was your main point. I don't think it was at all the main point there. I looked at the weather. I'm like, listen, the weather was bad. There was a 3-hour delay in between the game. That game was kind of almost expected to lose at that point. The 2 games after that are both the games I kind of want to focus on here. Specifically, Yohan Duran in extra innings. You know those memes that you see where it's like this person here versus this person here, and it's like a picture of like the Hulk, and then it's like a picture of like Bruce Banner. And like it's like that 2 things. It's like it's like a meme like that where they have like it's one person going insane, and then it's like another picture where they're not. That is Yohan Duran when he comes in the 9th inning versus when he comes in the 10th inning. When Yohan Duran comes in the 9th inning, he is the Hulk. He is incredible. He's one of the best closers in baseball. He's fantastic. When we throw him out in the 10th inning, he is Bruce Banner. He is terrible. He is one of the worst pitchers with guys on base I've ever seen. Like, he physically, when he gets in with a guy on base, that guy's scoring. I don't know what it is, but that guy's scoring. And so that is that. Yohan Duran, 4 runs in the 10th inning. Did not even finish something. Got 1 out in the 10th inning. We had to bring in like Caleb Thielbar, I think, to finish out that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but shout out again. I want to do another shout out. Griffin Jacks again. I feel like every podcast we do a shout out.
I think we're on a 4-episode shout out to Griffin Jack streak.
I agree.
I'm pretty sure it's at that point now.
Because Griffin Jacks is like, dude, I will trust him with my life. Like, I will trust him with anything I got that he will get out of any inning ever.
I'm gonna do what I do it feels like I do every single episode, and I'm gonna go to Baseball Savant. I'm gonna look at Griffin Jacks's page just to kind of stare at it in awe.
Yeah, right. If you guys have not had the chance to go to Griffin Jacks's Baseball Savant page, you've probably not been listening to our podcast wrong. Because I'm pretty sure we tell you to do that every single episode.
It's absolutely beautiful. No, I mean, again, like, you see all the advanced metrics and like all of like the movement stuff that he has and how just so crisp and aggressive it is. But even then, the basic counting stat of the 0 point, not even counting stat, but the rate stat of 0.82 whip, like that's still the bit that stands out to me the most. He's become, I think, the safest reliever on the team.
And he's the best. I think he is the best reliever on the team. I'm going to say it. I think he's the best reliever on the team. And right. I really hope we keep him for a very long time because we need him. Right now, I love Griffin Jacks. That's right.
I know that we're not supposed to really give you, because we just gave our 800th shout out to Griffin Jacks. And I know we're technically not supposed to give shout outs to people on opposing teams that we face, but shout out to Spencer Schwellenbach for being absolutely unbelievable. Like, I swear to God, the splitter curveball combo is insane. And like, the thing for him is like, he's not like Seth Lugo. Like, he is a pure quintessential definitional 5-pitch pitcher. And every single one, if you look at his savant is like another thing of beauty. Like, all of his movement dependent pitches and break dependent pitches are all above average, firmly above average in velocity, firmly above average to great in terms of velocity for that pitch. And so if you look at like his swing and miss rates of swings outside the zone, like the K rate there, it's like 56% or something. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
No, it's crazy.
Also, shout out to him.
Crazy stat. Raisel Iglesias had not given up a hit since July 27th. And in both his outings versus Minnesota, he gave up a hit. So shout out to the Twins offense for getting 1 hit. 1 hit off of Raisel Iglesias in both.
Another shout out to the broadcast booth for doing, because Zach and I think it was Zach who made the joke about it, but they said between like Schwellenbach and Woods Richardson, a 41 letter pitching duel. So they acknowledged, they saw it too. I thought that was really fun.
And I forget, was that a bad outing for Woods Richardson? I did not actually remember. Woods Richardson did not have a great outing in that game.
He was like fine. Like, I mean, like it was a fair. It was
4.2 innings, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks, which is a little scary. The walks obviously not great.
The walks are that's become a little bit of an issue there, but I mean, no, I mean, not a.
And then shout out the rest of our bullpen besides Yohan Duran, man. I mean, Alcala, 0.1 innings, no runs. Bushley, I didn't know Bush was on our team until I saw this game. Two innings, no earned runs. Cole Sands, 1 inning. By the way, Cole Sands, another shout out, Cole Sands. He's looked incredible. I think he pitched in the final 2 games of the series. He looked great. Cole Sands, 1 inning, no earned runs, no stats at all. Like no strikeouts, no walks, no hits, no earned runs. Love that. Griffin Jacks, 1 inning pitch, no earned runs, great. The whole Yohan Ram blow up, Ralph, fine. Caleb Theobald, 0.2 earned, 0.2, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's that. Now we go to this final game, which is where I really want to focus on again.
Yeah, I know that you said that was your
this
game.
This is my go-to game because we talked about how I said I think this is a chance to be a Festa breakout game. I said that.
Right.
I think I did say that. I don't know if I ever said that. But
no,
I think
I think
you a Festa game
that.
where he like looked incredible. Like this feels like a good game for Festa. Boy, did he. Boy, did he. That's all I'll say. Man, 6 innings, the 2 earned runs, with the second earned run not being really his run. He left a guy. He walked the guy at the beginning. They brought him out to start the 7th, which I was shocked with. And then he allowed a walk, and then that guy came on to score. So, not really a terrible run to allow. Like, be understand, but it was like, but the solo home run in the first to Jorge Soler was the only mistake pitch he made. I think after that, he retired 16 of the next 17 batters he faced, which was incredible, including 7 strikeouts. And he had some nasty strikeouts. 1 second.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to pull up a video here quick and see if I can get this on the podcast.
Yeah.
We're gonna, I have a this is the pitch. Is it this one? Yeah. This is the pitch. Okay. Give me a second.
I want to see if I know what you're talking about.
This is the pitch that is. I'm going to share my screen here. It's from the Pitching Ninja. This pitch.
Well, Festa.
You need to send me that video because I have like 10 people who I need to show that to.
That is like I'll actually do this to you on stream. I'll copy link and then I will literally post this. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you later.
Okay.
Actually, but so yes.
But no,
David Festa was so nasty.
No, I mean I think early on I think in his first few starts, I think he was very dependent on his slider for strikeouts. And the strikeout numbers have always been there the whole time. But if you can kind of, eventually if you kind of have everyone has like a main 2-strike pitch, but like you got to be able to mix it in. And I think he, over the course of, however long he's been in the majors, has continued to incorporate just the pure changeup, slowly integrating it into those high leverage situations. And I think it's really cool to see. And I think it's gonna make him as a strikeout artist just more and more difficult to decipher and figure out as a batter. So I'm really excited to see that.
I sent you, by the way. I sent you that.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, no, David Festa, shout out to that. And then 6 innings, and then he was incredible just for it to all get blown up by freaking Caleb Theobald. And I was so upset. I'm like, dude, we have a 2-1 lead. This is going to be great. We're pitching fantastic. It's amazing. Life is good. And then Caleb Theobald comes out here and turns in a terrible outing. 0.1 innings, 2 earned runs, a strikeout, and he allowed the runner that David Festa walked to score as well. So it was 3 basically runs to score. And then Alcala came in. He got taken out. Alcala came in. And then he allowed an earned run himself. And all of a sudden it was over like that. And the Twins got swept. And this is another thing although shout out to Michael Tonkin. He was nasty in that outing against. He went out and got 1 inning, 2 hits, but struck out all 3 players. And he was just nasty. Michael Tonkin.
The rule of note in Zach and I's like baseball friend group is that anyone who plays even 1 game for the Mets becomes Mets legend blank. So I think what Zach really wants to say here, or what he's supposed to say here, is shout out to Mets legend Michael Tonkin.
Hey, he was on the Twins early in his. He was on the Twins a few years ago.
That's true, but now he's a Mets legend just because that's how it works.
But yeah, so Michael Tonkin, great outing from him, and Ronnie Henriquez, another no-run outing for him as well. So Ronnie Henriquez might be carving himself up a little bit of a bullpen role here, which I like to see. But again, that's that. So that was the Braves series. It was ugly. It was bad. It was terrible. Every single bad word in our dictionary that we can use to describe it can probably be used for that series.
He's had a strikeout in all but one of his appearances.
Who?
Enriquez.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Enriquez is nasty. He's a strikeout getter. But anyway, so that's that. What else? What was I gonna say? Okay, so that's that. Injury news. Brooks Lee is in rehab starting. He'll be back in probably the next couple of days. He might be back for the Blue Jays series. Otherwise, we'll probably see him for the next series. No news on Buxton or Correa in terms of when they'll be back soon. Correa, we're not really even sure what's happening with him. To be honest, they haven't given us a report in a while on him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I kind of every couple days I just kind of do a quick Google search to check, and there's never really any new information.
Like it's kind of annoying. I mean, we're trying to let him heal, but at some point I feel like we just need him because he brings such an important vibe to us defensively that we almost need him. So that's that, and then Buxton, there was an update recently on him. Let me look at exactly the update was before I go crazy on and spread misinformation.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. Why did that? That's not what I wanted to see. Okay. Where is it? Byron Buxton. No. Hold on a second. I'm trying to find it. I'll look at Doe had that tweeted it recently. Let's look here for Byron Buxton. Sorry, let me do here. Yeah. So, there is no news. Actually, I can't find it. I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna spend an hour looking for it. So,
the update is that there is no update.
There was an update recently. I don't remember what it was, but look, I might just be able to look it up on news and just look it up. But anyway, could be. Oh, it just says here could begin rehab assignments soon.
Got it.
That doesn't know what that means, but it could be pushed back though because he's still feeling slight pain when running. That's it. So we'll see. But I don't know. That's that. That's our injury news. Now to what we need to talk about now, which is the final part of this, which is how we always finish our shows, which is the previewing
upcoming
our next
series,
which is the Blue Jays. Anders.
Yes. So if we look at obviously Toronto, I don't think we've really talked about Toronto in really any context. Really, I think legitimate argument. Obviously the Mariners that I mentioned before, I think have had sort of the most kind of comedic isolated period of just disastrousness. But I think in terms of start of the season, disastrousness. I'm not even sure if that's a word.
I'm gonna add that to my dictionary. I'm gonna add that to the dictionary now because that's fantastic.
In terms of start of the season to this point, I think a real argument, most disappointing team in baseball. I would say. In terms
and they really didn't make a ton and they didn't really trade a ton of guys at the deadline. I thought they were going to make some moves and actually try to rebuild.
I think that was the biggest story that really never happened. But if you look at, the offense on a collective standpoint, in terms of on base metrics, average, because they do have some guys that do know, how to sort of get in that that in that sort of way are very good. Obviously, you have, I mean, Horowitz, obviously, I think has been the big one for everyone that I think has taken a lot of people by surprise. Obviously, the Luperfido trade, I thought, was a very, I think that was a highlight for a lot of people. I know it was more so kind of a spinning on the Astros in terms of getting fleeced to get Kikuchi, but in terms of slugging and power barrel stuff, they're, I think, below average in just essentially across the board in terms of just counting numbers for home runs and all that sort of stuff. Um, but down to the specific matchups, I think Lopez and Gosman to open the series is a very strong start. Gosman has been good, not disappointing, little bit of a stretch, but not himself. That's for sure. Definitely his worst season as a Blue Jay. But I think that's the big one that I'm looking forward to the most is the game tonight.
I'm actually not. I'm going to be straight up with you. That will be a really great game, but Zebi's pitching this series
Which is
and he's pitching against Twins legend Jose Barrios. So,
oh yeah.
No,
I think in terms of just logistics, the first game's the most important, but on an emotional level, the Zebi game is always the most important game of the series, regardless of who else is pitching for the Twins.
You know how much better had Simeon Woods Richardson been pitching in that game? You know how much more of a fun storyline that would have been if Simeon Woods Richardson would have been pitching against Jose Barrios?
Oh my god.
I would have loved every second Twitter if that happened. But no, Zebi's great. And then I think Ober has a bounce back game.
Yeah, Rodriguez has been a little bit, I think, not upsetting, but has not gone over 6 innings since July 6th. No, July 1st. Yeah, July 1st was the last time he went over just 6 innings. So not a lot of distance. And again, this is a bullpen for the Blue Jays that ranks 28th in ERA and 26 in Ks per 9 and 30th in home runs per 9,
they're one of the teams that has a worse bullpen than us right now, and so that's why I'm liking the series possibly.
Yeah. No, he doesn't go for distance, and their home runs, they're 30th in home runs per 9, and that's Ian Rodgers. So that's really concerning. So I would actually I'm not even sure if I think I might agree with you that Bailey Ober has a comeback start, but I definitely chalk that last game up as a for sure win for the Twins.
Okay, so Anders, let's hear it now. Predictions.
Okay. Last game, that's a W. The Ober game versus Rodriguez, I think that's a perfect storm for the Twins. I think that first game against Gosman, Lopez has been better. I'm going to chalk that up as a win.
Oh, I did not think you were going to say a win. You sounded like
Lopez. I think Lopez has been better, and yeah, he's gone.
Also, I want to point this out right now. Kevin Gosman's career ERA versus the Twins. Listen to this. He's 1-4 with a 6.94 ERA in 12 starts versus the Twins. He is actually in, and this is it's crazy to look at. 1 second here. He has allowed 6 earned runs in both of his last 2 outings versus the Twins. So just saying that. That's why I'm looking at it like that's a win for me as well. So for me,
that is
first game's a win, third game's a win, and just because it's Zebi, and I think Zebi has a breakout game. Actually, I'm gonna be a little biased here, but not really. I actually do think we win that one. I think we sweep. I think we bounce back from one of our worst losses for our worst 9-game stretches of the season, and we sweep the Blue Jays here.
I think I want to agree with you. I do. Yeah, Barrios. I mean, I mean, he has been good.
Has he? I actually have not looked at his stat line recently.
No, he's been fine. I mean, he's he goes for distance. That's his big thing. Which this is a very bad bullpen for Toronto. So that might be
He's been good. Like 4 games in a row, he's allowed 2 runs or less. He has 4 quality starts in a row, and he's gone 7, 7, 7, and 7.2 in his last 4 games.
And
so yeah,
Zebi, we and so if that comes down to bullpen stuff like in terms of usage, then that might be a little difficult because right now at this point, we have not seen that much distance from Zebi. He's gone 5.0 in all 3 starts. So that might be, I think it makes sense for that to be a loss. And I think I might chalk that up as a loss just to kind of go against the grain a little bit. Okay. But I do think even if Zebi does go for 5, I do think that, he is reaching the point now where I am expecting another like 7K or even 8K performance from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And Anders, I'm gonna say 3 out of 3. You say 2 out of 3. Anders, my last thing here, I want to do a fun thing that we do. So you're a Jets fan. I'm a Vikings fan.
Yep.
I want you to give me your most surprising Jets cut. The guy that was cut this week at the cut deadline this past couple few days ago, that did not make the 53-man roster, that you were most surprised about.
I mean, my understanding from the Jets roster, I want to just confirm this, that we are only rostering 2 quarterbacks. We are only rostering 2 quarterbacks, which I thought personally in the preseason, I think, with Aaron Rodgers' injury history, I thought Adrian Martinez would have been a great third-string quarterback to have behind Taylor and Rodgers. I am shocked that given Rodgers' injury history and Tyrod's age, just broadly, just to do a quick
and
check.
And Tyrod Taylor's injury history as well.
And his injury history as well. So I thought that having 3 quarterbacks on the roster would have been ideal. So I there were big debates as to whether or not who outplayed who, Adrian Martinez or Peasley. I thought Martinez was better. I thought he looked more comfortable, and so to me that was kind of a surprising cut for him specifically, and then even just broadly only having 2 QBs. So that would be my answer, I would say.
Okay, for me, I don't have 2.
Can I guess
one? I
one?
would say I have 2, but I don't.
Is it Seen?
No, it's not Seen. I'm not surprised Seen got cut. I actually expected that to happen. For me, it was Bo Richter, who is a guy you probably never heard of, but he was an undrafted free agent that was dominant, and I mean dominant, a edge rusher who was dominant in preseason. Like, he was so good. And I thought he was pretty much for sure to make the team as an edge rusher, and he didn't. So that was one. That was mine. But he's still. We did sign him to the practice squad, so he's on our practice squad. But that was my surprising with Bo Richter. I thought he would make the team for sure. Lewis, seen him, not surprised I missed the cut. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 1 second, let me make sure here. Yeah, okay. I'll say 2 then. I didn't know if he got cut or not. He did. Jaron Hall, we cut him.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm shocked. He looked great in preseason. And we cut him to sign Ripien, who I just don't get why we did that. But yeah. So Jaron Hall was cut. I don't know if we signed him to I don't know if we signed him to our practice squad, but I'm assuming some team will probably want him as like an actual active roster guy. So I doubt we get him back. But I'm shocked that we cut Jaron Hall. That's the other one. Those are the 2.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's that. You ready to sign out here, Anders?
I am ready to sign out, and we're perfectly at an hour. And I'm glad we did all the. I'm glad we finished with a nice little extracurricular football note instead of just shoving it all in the first bit. But no, what a great episode, Zach. It's always great to see you and always great to talk with you.
Honestly, no, I feel the same way.
This has been the Bleav in Twins podcast alongside Zac Tipton. I have been Anders Pryor. You can listen to the Bleav in Twins podcast or any other Bleav content that you love on the Bleav.com website, or listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you get your sports media. You can watch us here on YouTube. Please subscribe and turn on post notifications for whenever we produce episodes. Go Twins. Go Jets and Vikings. Zach, great to see you. Thank you for the photo. Thank you for that video. We got multimedia episode today. That was a very, very nice element.
I pulled up as much as I could here. I like that. I like doing
Yeah, I got to step up my game. I got to start incorporating some visuals here too.
Absolutely no, and I got we could do it, and we'll talk about this later. Actually, no, finish the sign off here. Let's finish the sign.
We'll finish the sign off here. We'll keep it a surprise for you guys. We'll bring in some new stuff every week. But we will see you guys on Monday to recap the Blue Jay series, to look forward. Hopefully Zebby Matthews has a complete game shutout. And we will see you guys next week. Signing off.
Signing off.